Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome to the Vegas Take. It is Monday. So glad you could join us, Sharp and Shapiro. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. I know I did. We got plenty to talk about. Chris Wynn in studio on a Monday.
What's going on?
And like I said, we got a lot to go over, a lot to get to, especially with this impeachment inquiry. Hour number 2, Michael Avenatti will be joining us to break everything down that is Donald Trump. That'll be hour number 2. Hour number 3, we're going to catch up on the Canelo fight over the weekend with Showtime Sean Porter, one of the best pound-for-pound boxers on the planet. He's going to be joining us in studio in hour number 3. Gentlemen, how was your weekend? That's what I want to know. What did you guys do this weekend?
You know I did the C-Win thing. You know, I got to catch a little sporting event action, maybe, catch up on my Walking Dead. It's pretty much,
Wow,
laid
that's
back,
really exciting.
leisure.
Yeah.
I had a chance to go by. We had a chance, myself and Brian Shapiro, we had a chance to go by our buddy and friend of the show, Steve Sears' house for a little
You're
get-together.
skipping around, man. You're skipping around. I was going to get there. You're skipping around.
And, well, not skipping around. I'm just kind of laying it out there and getting a chance for you to kind of set it up. That's how we work it on a Monday morning.
It's like T-ball.
JD went to Bed Bath & Beyond. Anything else beside that over
just
the
like,
weekend?
all I know is I'm sitting next to the only guy in the state of Nevada that owns a Javid Best jersey.
Yes, I do.
I know that for a fact, and that feels pretty good.
It was a short run, JD, but it was fun to watch.
I wagered sports all weekend long, watched my kid a couple of times as well.
That sounds exciting.
I made a huge bet on the Ravens last night and won it, and I feel really good about that as well. So I'm just feeling good.
So
I came in 2 weekends ago, and I had a really bad weekend 2 weeks ago. This is the exact opposite right now.
God, you guys are so boring.
That's fine.
I was hoping you guys had some stories about some hookers or
hookers.
some blow.
No hookers, no blow.
You got Chris Wynn talking about going to some party with me, and then you got JD talking about placing bets on his phone while babysitting his kid. Wow, what an exciting weekend!
But wait a second, you're talking about us being boring. What about this guy over here? Right? This guy's supposed to be getting in on the activities with us over the weekend, sir.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
And I'm just teasing with you guys. You know I am. But so I took off Thursday night, Halloween night. Me and Stein, our producer here, we went to see Marilyn Manson. First of all, let me just start off. It was kind of like a double date. Let me just start off by saying this: Marilyn Manson is not only fat now, he sucks. I mean, his show was terrible. And these were not cheap tickets, by the way. And I don't usually pay to see shows because I'm so special and important. I paid for this one, okay? It was awful. He is bloated. He looks terrible. I mean, his pants fell down in the middle of the show. Whether he did it on purpose or not, I don't know. One of his assistants had to come on stage and pull his pants back up for him. I'm like, what happened to this guy? Bloated and disgusting and not a lot of energy on stage.
And for our viewers on Twitter, I'm about to post a picture of what Brian Shapiro looks like right now, and he's kind of being a hypocrite. So continue, Brian.
So you're comparing me to Marilyn Manson? Is that what you're doing? Why? Because I'm wearing sunglasses in the studio? No, I'm curious. I mean, we're both Jews. I know that. Marilyn's a Jew, but how else can you compare me to Marilyn Manson?
I think he's referring to the bloated
Satan?
part.
I am referring to the bloated part. I am.
Well,
And also funny, it was funny, Brian, because on Friday, both JD and I discussed Marilyn Manson, right, and his and relevancy and how is he still a big star? Yeah. And I had to get in with JD. I'm like, look, I think Marilyn Manson is just washed up. I think he's not really a star anymore.
I think his genre is washed up, but he is still one of the biggest names in this particular genre, no matter how old he is.
Yeah. He is, but you know what? You're not going to the show and you're not going to get anything edgy. You're not going to get anything groundbreaking. Those days are over. This is a guy who, like Brian said, he's 50 years old. He's made his money. He's going through the motions. He played the hits. And what do you say? Happy Halloween, Vegas.
And that's it. He just walked off stage.
Happy Halloween.
That's kind of like how the end of Stein's date went Thursday night, but we won't get into that because he doesn't want to talk about that.
Details.
No.
Do tell.
We're not going to talk about that. He doesn't want to, but I had to make a joke. No, but he's right, though. Marilyn Manson, the show was terrible. It was an awful show. So anyway, fun weekend, though. Went to the Canelo fight, and we're going to get more into it with Sean Porter, but certainly a controversy, at least in the boxing world, whereas you had the big Nate Diaz fight, the UFC fight, around the same time as the Canelo fight. So the Canelo fight against Kovalev was at MGM Grand. I was there at the fight, and because of the streaming service that was on, that was broadcasting the fight in this stream. I've never even heard of them before. It's called DAZN, D-A-Z-N. They confirmed that they wanted to make the fighters wait, make everyone in MGM Grand wait until the end of the main card, the Diaz UFC fight, which was taking place in New York. So not only did the fighters have to wait 90 minutes, the fans in the MGM were watching a telecast of the UFC fights while everybody was waiting. I've never seen anything like that before, where you have arguably one of the biggest boxing fights of the year, and it waits and it gets put on hold for another sporting event, in this situation, the UFC fight. A lot of people were very angry about this, and we're going to get more into this with Sean Porter coming up later on in the show. He's going to join us in the studio because I think this is an embarrassment to boxing. It's an embarrassment that this was even allowed to happen. It was a horrible decision by DAZN, and I was just really surprised by it. So we're definitely going to get more into the weeds on this one and talk about this, why this streaming company decided to do it. What does it mean for boxing? Is it setting a precedence? Are we going to see more of this happening? I think it's buffoonery at its finest. We're going to talk more about it a little bit later on in the show. However, JD, walking in today, and he said we should lead and talk a little bit about the fact that 75,000 jobs were created by Donald Trump. And I said, well, there's a lot of things we could talk about when it comes to Donald Trump, and we will in hour number 2 with Mike Lavinati. However, Donald Trump did attend this UFC fight, and I want to play you a little bit of audio. This is President Donald Trump getting booed, as he usually does when he attends these types of events, when they're not paying people to show up at one of his events, or it's not one of his rallies where he has a bunch of diehard Trump supporters. So this is Donald Trump as he's entering the UFC event in New York City at Madison Square Garden. So you get the idea, right? You get the idea of exactly, what was going on as he showed up. Very similar to the World Series. And here's my question to you guys. Did Barack Obama get these type of boos? Did George W. Bush get these type of boos? Even Jimmy Carter, did he get those type of boos? What is the last president we've had that showed up at a big event like the World Series or like a big fight and got that type of booze? Can we recall a president, because I don't, and Don Jr. was there also, who's done nothing in his life with Kimberly Guilfoyle. Allegedly, he was there with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
What can you guys recall another politician or other president that was treated like that at an event?
Well, personally, I can't recall that, so I think it is unprecedented. And I think JD's going to point this out, and a lot of Trump supporters will point this out, that Donald Trump just gets a lot of hate, right? I mean, there's just sometimes justified, a lot of time, a few times, in my opinion, not justified. But the point being is that he's someone who he just kind of, he draws this type of reaction, the kind of person that he is. He's someone who is very standoffish at times. He's someone who likes to get into it with people. He's someone who likes to kind of implement divisiveness. He's that kind of guy.
He enjoys the chaos. Yeah, Chris. He does.
He in some level, right? Doesn't he?
Yes,
he likes
does.
this.
He absolutely does.
He enjoys this.
He likes a fight. He's very competitive.
And so, while it's not surprising to me, it's probably not a great thing that our president our commander-in-chief is getting this type of reception. And to answer your question, I would say no, probably, right? Whether it's Barack Obama, whether it was George Bush Senior, or whether it's the two Bushes, whether it was Bill Clinton, whether it was Ronald Reagan, you mentioned Jimmy Carter, obviously, and go all the way back. There is not usually a uniform reception like this in a negative way for the President of the United States.
And keep in mind, this comes on a day where, the Nationals are being invited to the White House, and we are learning that there are members of the team that are not going to be showing up to the White House.
The one thing we're not talking about here is the fact that this was in New York, then one of the most democratic cities in the country. The last one was in D.C., one of the most democratic cities in the country. This is not a surprise. And if you actually listen to the UFC, the boo birds were very, very loud. But there was some cheering too. It was kind of it was a
believe-
mixed bag. It was actually worse at the Nationals game, much worse than this UFC.
I
was.
believe that if Donald Trump showed up at a Vegas Golden Knights game, he would get the same type of reception.
Oh, he would get destroyed. Yeah. There's no doubt about that.
I disagree with that. I don't think that would take place. It would probably be maybe 60-40 boos, cheers, and the boos could be a little louder because it's just a different.
See, JD, here's the thing.
Different thing.
At least half
But if Barack Obama were in a giant event in maybe Tennessee or Alabama 6 years ago, he might get booed as well. It all depends where this event is taking place.
Has Barack Obama ever been booed like that?
Well, no, he's been in spots like that.
Okay, if Donald Trump, if there was a giant boxing fight in L.A., say Crawford fights Sean Porter in L.A. at the Staples Center and Trump attends that, he'll get booed there.
Okay, let's play that audio again.
It's all about, and I heard the audio,
Okay,
Brian.
well, let's hear it again.
And there were some cheers and there were some boos.
Let's hear it again. It's funny, I don't hear a lot of cheers. Lower it a little bit. It's a little too loud. Lower it a little bit. It's even a little bit too loud for me. I don't hear a lot of cheers there, JD.
But guys, let's throw this out there, okay? It's not rocket science what we're talking about here. Yes, Donald Trump has a approval rating of what, 40%. So you can make the deduction, right? I'm not a math major. I'm not a guy who's great with the numbers.
You're not.
Okay, but I would say there's probably around 4 people out of 10 in America that are Trump supporters, right? Or people that back Trump. So yes, by the numbers, JD, obviously, if you throw it all into one big bucket, right? You're going to have 4 out of 10 people that support Trump. So there's going to be people that will be cheering. 40% of the people will be cheering, and the rest will not be cheering.
But let's be honest. Had people booed Barack Obama 6 years ago, they would have been labeled a racist. Whether they liked him for whatever reason they disagreed with him or they didn't like him for whatever reason it was, they would have been labeled a racist. So booing Barack Obama 6 years ago was not socially acceptable. Let's be honest about that.
Well, it doesn't matter what their
hold on a second.
what would have
Guys,
happened to them if they would have thought that has been racist.
Hold on a second.
It didn't happen, right?
Barack Obama.
Was there any audio or
Right,
video?
can I
of
respond to all
Barack
this?
Obama where he's getting booed like that?
Barack
That's a
Obama.
simple
All right,
question.
let me respond to all this. First of all, Barack Obama, from what I recall, and I'm not an Obama apologist. I didn't even vote for Barack Obama. But last I checked, Barack Obama wasn't involved in an impeachment inquiry. Barack Obama was not attacking people left and right that disagreed with his policy that were attacking him. Barack Obama was not calling the media or Fox News fake news. Barack Obama did not have thin skin, and that is a big reason. And I understand that a lot of people out there who support Donald Trump hate Barack Obama, but the bottom line is Obama might have not done a lot to help race relations in this country, but I wouldn't have called Barack Obama the divider-in-chief. I do call Donald Trump the divider-in-chief, okay? Because if you're not on Donald Trump's side in any way, shape, or form, even if you've known Donald Trump for years, he will turn on you in a heartbeat if you do not kiss his ass. So a good portion of this is Donald Trump's doing. Make no mistake about it. That is certainly my opinion. Now, in regards to the Nationals and in regards to these teams, the Golden State Warriors and all these other teams that have won championships, that have decided not to go to the White House, or many members of the teams that have not gone to the White House.
There's one.
Let me just finish my thought.
One player, Brian.
No, that's not true.
On the Nationals, there's one.
Not true.
No, there'll be way more.
Not
than
true.
that.
No,
There'll be
I don't know
way
what
more
you're
than
reading. That's not
Yeah.
true. I have an article right in front of me. It started with a pitcher, and now there's a handful of others that have come forward that are saying they're not going to the White House either. So what you're saying is not true. The point I'm trying to make is I actually disagree with these players. I actually think that if you dislike Donald Trump or you hate Donald Trump, it might be an opportunity to speak with him about some of the things that you disagree with. I actually think it's an opportunity for players like a Steph Curry or whoever it may be. I think it's an honor to be in the White House. Doesn't mean you have to bow down to Donald Trump. So in a way, I disagree, but yet I do understand where they're coming from. Every day that passes, it seems like Donald Trump is, making the situation worse for himself, in my personal opinion. Listen, this has nothing to do with the economy. It has nothing to do with the unemployment numbers. To me, it has everything to do with the shenanigans that are taking place. And, like I said, I don't think he's bringing people together. I think he's dividing people. But I do think it's an opportunity for professional athletes, in this case, the Washington Nationals, to enter the White House. Maybe if you disagree with the president on one issue or a number of issues, maybe it's an opportunity to talk with him about it. Doesn't mean you're going to get away with anything here, but I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
I would disagree with you, Brian. on this line. Okay, look, it's a photo op, right? This is not something where they're sitting down talking about policy, where you're getting the players who disagree with Donald Trump and are going to get a chance to have a forum with him and discuss, whether, whatever the political topic is that they disagree with him on. So this whole notion that, it's an opportunity for you to go to the White House and discuss some type of policy, I think it's nowhere near it. It's a photo op, okay? It's an opportunity for them to, and that's why a lot of them protest it, Brian. That's why a lot of players and from all teams. And by the way, we're talking about the Nationals. How many of the Washington Mystics didn't go to the White House, okay, when the Mystics won the championship?
I understand.
So, I mean, let me
quote.
That's the rationale as to athletes why they don't want to go there.
Let me quote Nationals reliever Sean Doolittle, and he was the first person to come forward and say that he was not visiting the White House. He said, quote, "People say you should go because it's about respecting the office of the president. And I think over the course of his time in office, he's done a lot of things that maybe don't respect the office." I mean, I don't disagree with that statement, but I don't think you're going to the White House to kiss the ass of the president. I think you're going to the White House to be honored, to be able to be in the White House and to kind of have that experience. I think it'd be a pretty cool experience. And I would, as much as I dislike the president, I would still take that opportunity. That's just me.
But Brian, they don't want to be even in a picture with him. They don't even want to be associated with Donald Trump. That is the mentality of the people that are not Donald Trump supporters. Okay, that is the reasoning behind it. You can talk about the respect for the office and all that. And by the way, people would argue that since Donald Trump has become the president of the United States, it has downgraded what the respect of being president of the United States has done. But the point being is that there's people that forget going and experiencing being in the White House like you're talking about. These people don't even want to be in a picture with him. They don't even want to be photographed with him. That's how much the hatred is towards him, and basically the disagreement on almost every level with Donald Trump.
Listen, we're going to continue this conversation with Michael Avenatti coming up in hour number 2. And in hour number 2, we're also going to take your calls. But quickly, I just want to discuss this because I think it's really important. There are 4 people that were subpoenaed today that are supposed to be questioned. And those people are not coming in to testify. And they're going against a subpoena. And I ask this very simple question. If the president has nothing to hide, and I say the same thing about his tax returns, right? If he has nothing to hide with his tax returns, why aren't they released? If the president has nothing to hide, and if this was such a perfect phone call like he says it was with the president of the Ukraine, then why is it that everyone is defying the orders of these subpoenas? Why is it that the president is instructing everybody to not talk, to not cooperate? And then Republicans are coming forward, and Republicans are complaining about the process when it was Republicans that put this very process into place. And I will also ask this question. Many Republicans are crying wolf and saying, well, how come we're not a part of this? How come we're not a part of this? Why can't we be in there? We want to hear from all the witnesses, blah, 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 blah. It's funny, when there were 9 investigations into the Benghazi situation, 9, all ran by Republicans, they ran it the same way, and you could make the argument even worse. Many Democrats were not allowed into part of the proceedings. Many Democrats were not allowed in. Many Democrats were not allowed any information when it came to those investigations into the Benghazi situation, which, by the way, found no wrongdoing with Hillary Clinton or anybody else, okay? Or at least not criminally.
But 0 indictments, right?
And then Democrats were not involved in that situation. They did not allow the Democrats to be involved in those investigations. This is the exact same circumstance. You can't be okay with the 9 Benghazi investigations that went on and then not be okay with this impeachment inquiry with the way this process is going on. They are hypocrites. That is what I am trying to say.
Actually, Brian, it's not the exact same circumstances because Republicans have been have had the ability to be in the hearings. Some Republicans, okay, that have access have purposely not gone.
At least 25%
so
of them,
it's not even the same. I don't know exactly what the circumstances were regarding Benghazi or the email investigations for that matter, as far as how much involvement Democrats had. I got to believe that Democrats also back during those hearings also had access to a lot of those meetings as well, too. So, look, this isn't a situation where Republicans are being kept in the dark, okay? There are Republicans that have had access. Again, this is another right-wing talking point that has been absolutely debunked and is completely ridiculous.
It is. JD, what do you make of all this?
Is it illegal? Is what they're doing illegal?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay. Well, then what's the question? Are they breaking the law by choosing not to testify?
Well, actually, it's going to be becoming a court issue, right? I believe that judges are going to be making decisions regarding these individuals, whether or not they are going to be, I guess, quote unquote, forced to testify, or are going to be legally required to testify
until they're
opposed to
legally required to testify. I don't blame them for not turning on their own party.
Why would?
Well, it's not turning on your party, right? You're just giving information regarding.
Fine. Well, but assuming it's supposed to be damaging information. Until they are absolutely forced to do that, then they will have to do it. Now, at that point, when they're forced to do that and they choose not to, then I'll have a bigger issue with it. But right now, it's not illegal, Brian, so I don't have a huge issue with it.
But since when is it turning on your party?
I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. Well, again, this is the whole entire thing is set up to release damaging information on the President of the United States. Who is
it's set to release the truth, right? I thought we were trying to get the truth,
right. But the truth is expected to be very damaging.
Whose fault is that?
It doesn't make a difference. All I'm saying is
that's academic, though, right? The truth is the truth.
What's academic is it's not illegal to not do this. Until it is, I have no issue with it.
Since when is it?
It'll never be illegal, right? It would never be illegal to just.
Since when is it turning on your party to tell the truth? That's part of your statement. I don't understand.
No, I'm saying it's expected to be damaging, right? Whatever they're going to say is expected to be damaging towards the president.
If they tell the truth.
And they're choosing not to say that until they're absolutely forced to do so. And again, I don't have an issue with that. I've said that 3 times.
Well, according to President Trump, it's not going to be damaging. It's going to be something that would basically release him, right? It's something that would it basically would clear him, right? I mean, that's the way the approach that President Trump is taking, right? Is that these people, I should probably let them talk because they're going to clear my name, right? That's kind of the stance that he's taking. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, right?
Well, the bottom line is if there's no damning information, then why are they not speaking? I mean, I think we all could read between the lines here and see what's going on. I said it 6 weeks ago. I'll say it again. I think this is going to be the demise of Donald Trump. This is not just the transcript we're talking about. We're also learning that there's more information that was withheld in that transcript in regards to Donald Trump talking about the Bidens. So I think there's more information that's going to come forward. There's a lot more in regards to this story that we need to get to. Kellyanne Conway made the rounds. Did a few interviews over the weekend looking like a complete clown. We're going to get to that with Michael Avenatti coming up in hour number 2. It really is unbelievable. And then, as I like to call her, talentless Tommy Lauren. She's a graduate from UNLV. I have no idea what she's famous for other than saying stupid things and saying over-the-top things and writing a few books and making some TV appearances. I really don't know why she's so popular, and so I really don't. I don't understand it. I'll admit this: she's certainly better looking than I am. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, but I really don't know what she's good at. I really don't. But she decided to dress up in a costume, looking like Ocasio-Cortez. But she also made some controversial comments on social media. So we'll talk about that coming up next. We're also going to have John Schaefer come in here, KDW news anchor, give us the news of what's going on. Also, Sean Porter, one of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world, will be in studio. Hour number 3, we're going to talk a little more boxing with him. And why are people dying? 4 people dead in last year in the sport of boxing. We'll get to that and much, much more. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. This is the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.